Hello, everyone. I am here with Dr. Goveia, our world language Spanish teacher who has lived in Argentina for 3 years. And we will be discovering the cultural differences between Argentina and the US. Very nice to meet you today.
Thank you for having me.
Is it possible if you can just give us like a brief introduction when you were living in Argentina?
Sure. I lived in Argentina when I was a little bit older than you. I was 19, 18 when I moved to Argentina. I was there for 2 years initially. And then I came back, and within a year, I ended up going back for another year. I think I missed a lot of things, and there was school was an option. I was looking for schools, and I figured that I can go to school down there too. So I went to school for a while down there. Just went in and asked, how do I sign up for classes?
So let's get into like the cultural differences part between Argentina and US. So when you were living in Argentina, do you think more for yourself or prioritize like a bigger group around you?
I thought really quickly, I realized that was a culture shock. I realized that people do not think individually as much as I had until then. Here in America, we're very much individualists, but maybe I can generalize and say in Latin America it's different. In Argentina, in my case, with the people I was living with, it was very clear that it's a community, whether it's societal or in your house. Even if you buy some cereal and it's in the cupboard, someone else might take some and enjoy it because you're all buying stuff together. And when I was there, I was like, no, this is my cereal, this is your yogurt, this is your milk. And that's not really the case. And that's just the inside of a house example where a lot, if you're walking down the street and you want to buy yourself a candy bar, I thought it was normal. If I wanted to buy one, I'd buy one. And if my friend didn't, it meant that he didn't want one. But it came across after a while as rude to buy yourself a candy bar and not the person you're walking with. And I just thought, if you want one, you would have bought one.
Yeah.
A lot of little things like that show you that they are much more community-based.
A lot more collectivist. Yeah, and in contrast to the US. So has that perspective changed when you moved back to the US?
Yeah. I think I went back to my normal American. I really do think. Is there examples to the contrary? It's mellowed out is the word I thought of when I thought of this initially. I think it's mellowed out a lot. What helps to mellow out that collectivist, that's the word you use, right? It's collectivist. Yes, collectivist attitude is the lack of public transportation here helps mellow out that collectivist idea, because if you're in your car and I'm in my car and we're leaving from the same place and going to the same place, it doesn't foment or facilitate collectivist ideas. But if we're all waiting for the same subways or waiting for the same buses, you really move together, and in moving together physically, you start thinking that you are together more.
And I can definitely relate this. When I travel back to Taiwan, we take a lot of public transport and like buses and like metro stations. And because it's basically like a smaller country, a lot of people don't use as much cars in contrast to the US. Like right in the US, a lot of cars, but rather in Taiwan, we basically just take the train and we kind of just like move and act like a group. And according to studies, people who live in a more collectivist culture like Argentina, which people tend to act and think like a group, walk slower and usually as a group. So do you find this to be true while living in Argentina?
Yes, I don't do that anymore. I have to stop myself and remember to walk with those, because sometimes I'll just walk and meet you there if we're going there together. But it's true that people do walk together more. Now, it's different in the city. Do you walk together? I mean, the answer I want to give is yes. And I think I see people, I think of like New York, and a lot of people are individual walking to their respective places. And when I think of other cities, like maybe Argentina, the capital, you see more people walking together, but not often. A big city like that, like the capital, is just a small New York. But there are instances where, do people walk as much together? I think here's how I'll phrase it. I think if you don't walk with somebody, it's really rude, more so than here. Yes, it could be seen as rude if you're walking 3 steps ahead of the person you're kind of going with. But it's okay. In Argentina, I think it is rude. Yeah.
And moving on to power distance, do you think that you would treat authority figures more as like a friend or someone more formal, like a higher like boss in Argentina?
That's a good question. Now, I wasn't old enough to work. I had a job opportunity that I turned down because I wanted to focus more on school. And I never really worked in an environment in which I had a boss. I had teachers, but I think I can't answer that. That one I have a hard time answering.
How about your relationship with your teacher? Would you say you would like feel more like friends with your teacher or more like strict?
Oh, you're not friends with your teacher.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
You have an interesting thing. I realized I used to teach at college before I came to Cooper. And there's a weird thing. At college, you can be closer to your students and comfortable and do more jokes and do more and have more adult relations, talk and make jokes on the side. And at Cooper, in high schools and in America, I think in general, teachers are supposed to be friendly leaders.
Yeah, friendly more.
You still have to, you can't be their friend, but you have to be friendly. And I don't know, in university in Argentina, you could be friendly, but that doesn't mean you're their friend.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just opposite on both ways. And so, yes, in Argentina, I think teachers can do jokes and be jolly, but be really exigent and say, you got an F. Yeah. And not be on bad terms with them and just say, oh, well, we'll have to work on this. They didn't try to be friendly about it, but I think that's the way that it was for me in Argentina. It was very hard, but the teachers weren't trying to be your friend, but they were able to be themselves, I guess is the way to say it, yeah.
And, speaking of like school and things like that, do you think Argentina is more or less competitive or motivated to success than the U.S.?
I think the United States is their studies consume. It's an American thing where at a university, you live there, you buy your groceries there, you get your food there, you wash your clothes there, you have your sports there, you have your friends there, you have even a movie theater on campus. That kind of monopolizing of your life in college is very American. It really contributes to, it's very competitive and you just sit here and you focus. In other countries, school can be really hard, but that's your school. You have your sports at a club, you have your family here, you have your friends that are not part of your school. And so I think it's very competitive, but also in America, there's so many colleges and so many things, and the schools compete with you. Schools compete to get you to go there, and they try to incentivize you. In Argentina, there's not the same incentive because there's a lot of public schools, and if you get the right numbers, the right grades in high school, you could then go to college. So this is basically the Argentine public school, but in America, there's so many public schools that are each trying to get you. It's very competitive for them too, and so many students. So I think it's more competitive here. But then, however, I do think the classes in Argentina, the material is a lot harder.
Okay. So, I could agree to that because in the US, you not only need to focus on your grades, but also like your extracurriculars and other programs. While, maybe in other countries, if you ace this test or whatever, they have like a standardized college test. If you do good on it, that you can get into college. In contrast, in the US, you have like sports and extracurriculars that you need to do to get into a good college.
That's a good point. Exactly. That's a good point. I didn't think about that because in Argentina, your application to your college is your grade. But here you have a whole array of things to think about. Good point. Very good point.
Make a whole resume.
You gotta make a whole resume. You gotta be a whole person already.
And in Argentina, would you be more accepting to unknown circumstances, or do you like more having a thought out plan of your future?
I think Argentina, I'm more accepting of the unknown.
Just like go with the flow?
I think absolutely, because everything's precarious. You don't know what the dollar is going to be. You don't know what the inflation is so big in Argentina. Schools could lose their power. You could in Argentina, you go one semester at a time, and you in college here, in high school here, you could have your whole high school thought out. Then your summers can have internships. You know what colleges to go to and visit, and then you have 4 years in college. You could really plan out a lot and know what sports you're going to do and what the college counseling can help you do certain things on certain months of your high school career to get ready. In Argentina, it is so much more, hey, I'm going to take courses and next semester, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take care of my mom. maybe help her move, maybe find a new job for a while, and then you go back and continue school.
Yeah.
And so it's not. It's also, I think in Argentina, like my example with the monopolizing of your life in university here, your whole life for 4 years is just college. You can stay on campus except for summers or whatever, but you have 4 years where your whole life could be at this campus.
Yeah.
In Argentina, your school is where you get your classes done, and then you leave when the bell rings, and your whole life still continues. And so I think a lot of that introduces a lot of unknowns. But if you get in your dream college, you can bet your money that you'll be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's certain. You can just guarantee. Argentina, it's up in the air every semester.
Yeah. And speaking of planning for the long term, do you think you more have long-term goals or short-term goals plans when working?
In Argentina?
Yes. And also compared to the US.
I think compared to the US, I think it's a lot more short term. I think people just try and get by more, especially now. When I was there, sure. But now people just try and get by. Getting by is the long-term and short-term goal. Here, we have what we call sometimes first world problems, where you have things to think about, but really you never put in doubt, are we going to eat today?
Yeah.
People do have that problem in the Woodlands and other places, but for most people at Cooper and other areas in America or in universities, you can have long-term goals because the immediate short-term are usually taken care of. In Argentina, you don't know what's going to happen next month with your currency.
Yeah.
That means your short-term goals, they cloud your vision. Your long-term goals consist of the basics, family.
Get some water.
Go ahead. The long-term goals, they go on the back burner. And I think it just is part of that has to do with just consistency of the dollar, the currency, the job market, the economy. Those things really allow you to have your 5-year plans, 10-year plans. It's harder when you don't have that.
And because, according to statistics, Argentina is a more short-term country, as you said. So how does this make you feel when working and studying there?
Short-term. You have a harder time knowing what you're studying for. For example, even though the public school could be free and really hard, you might sit. Can you repeat me the question one more time? I was going to go off on something, but I'm just going to stay where you were. Can you say
sorry. So Argentina is a more short-term country. So how does that make you feel when studying there?
Gotcha. Okay. I was going to go off on a side point. You really have even though the school is free, but it's hard. You still have to be very careful in what you study because things are so short-term. You're not going to study the majors that some people study in the States. In the States, someone might go to college and not know what they want to do for a living, and so they'll major in things that are interested in them, and expect that they'll get a degree with it, and then therefore a job. But in Argentina, everything is so short term. You don't want to take a gamble and major in something that you just have a passion about. That's a good point, I guess we could say, is you don't follow the motto, follow your passion. Because what if you're passionate about something, but there doesn't really provide a lot of money? You're not going to do it. In America, you could still make that wager and say, I'm passionate about this, mom and dad. I'm gonna major in this and then see what happens. You could do that and still be okay in America sometimes. In Argentina, it's not the case at all. It's harder, and so you focus on the things that you know can get you a job. And you say, well, I'm not passionate about it, but it changes what kind of classes you take and why.
So getting on to the next part, what are some culture shocks or differences when going to Argentina, and how did that make you feel?
I'm from a part of the state of Washington where there's a lot of apples. We grow a lot of apples, and I was used to eating apples as a kid, just as a thing. And I was in Argentina. I was on the sidewalk walking, or on the sidewalk waiting for a bus at a bus stop. Yeah. And people did not like it that I would be eating.
No?
If you're standing at a bus stop and you have an apple, so? Yeah. And they thought that was really sloppy. Whatever. Or even eating on the go. I think America, we have the drive-through culture. Getting coffee in your car as you're going from A to B, you're sipping coffee. That's not a thing. You might have one in the subway, but you sit down and have a coffee. It's something you do. What I really got, a culture shock was just eating on the go. And I mentioned the sharing food. It was a culture shock for me to have bought groceries, brought them to my apartment. We had roommates and friends living together. And the fact that they could take some of the food and consume it I thought was really rude. And for them, that's just normal. So definitely the food, sharing it with people or not sharing it. Also eating on the go was awkward for me. So that was weird to not eat on the go. It was weird for me that they thought it was weird that I was eating on the go. And they thought it was weird for me that they would be eating my food in the house when it was my food. Yeah. You were my roommate, whatever. Also free time. This is also before smartphones, but in Argentina, people will go to parks on the weekend and just sit in circles and drink mate and just talk. And in America, I'm used to seeing people in parks walk their dogs or run. And that's pretty much it. Maybe a barbecue once in a while, but like really, the park is for your dog or for walking, exercising, running. It's never to sit and talk. And it was there. I thought that wasn't a culture shock. It was just something that surprised me. But those are definitely, eating in public was weird for me.
And how are these emotions expressed differently in Argentina? And do you think it's a more emotional, like an emotional country?
Argentina is more emotional in some ways, for sure. I think so, for sure. In what ways are they more emotional? I think people, all this talk we have about the mood meter and ruler, I think people are very good about talking about what bothers them in Argentina. I don't think people quote their words as much. In Argentina, they're very much more direct. They don't have the same subtleties. If you don't like something, you say it without trying to get around it, without trying to hurt their feelings.
It's more direct.
It's more direct. And you're not trying to avoid hurting someone's feelings. I think they see that that's something they have to say, and they don't worry about hurting someone's feelings. That's part of the culture.
So if someone were in a unpleasant situation in Argentina, do you think they would behave differently than people in the US in the same situation?
If people were, can you say it again?
If someone was like in an unpleasant situation, like if someone was in like an argument in Argentina, do you think they would have behaved differently in the US?
Yeah, I think arguments can be very sharp. Because they are not used to saying, hey, I wanted to say this, and they don't say it by getting around it. They could be more direct, more heated. I don't think it's always productive to do that, because then you're just going to get someone's emotions up, and then when you have your emotions up, you're not really having a conversation. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it's good to say how you feel. Sometimes if you want to say something, but you don't say it, you say it around the bush, I don't think you always feel satisfied. I think it's therapeutic to express your feelings, but when you censure them and regulate that your words so much that after you're done, you wonder, did I even say what I wanted? So I think it's good to not hurt someone's feelings. Then I also think it's good to say your thing in a way that makes you feel like you actually said your point. But I do think Argentina, if they're going to say things more directly, their emotions are going to be higher. If their emotions are going to be higher, they're not going to be listening, so they're not going to be productive. So I think, they're more direct and they're more heated. That doesn't mean they're always productive, I imagine. Not always.
And has Argentinian culture affected your way of life or how you express emotions?
Yeah, I would say that I'm a little bit more direct, a little bit more, but I'm learning a lot through the mood meter at Cooper too. What I told you about direct speaking in arguments and just in general, it's really helped me dislike love bombing, because I think it's more Americans will do, I call it love bombing, where you praise somebody a lot for doing things and it's no longer natural, it's just love bombing. And I think in Argentina, that's not a thing. And since it is more direct, you praise when I learned to praise when I see things that are good, but not excessively. And I think Americans love they're afraid of hurting someone's feelings sometimes. And I think I am still American all the way. I mean, I'm purely American in this. But I think my love bombing and I don't praise as much as I would because it comes off as fake. And I think Argentina helped me get through that. Also, it could be because I'm older too. I don't know if it's because I'm older or because Argentina, but I definitely think I express my feelings a little more directly because of having lived in Argentina. Now, what else has that? Can I mention about this emotions? I think I'll be a little bit more direct.
Yeah.
Because of Argentina. And let's see, what other ways I express my emotions? I think Argentina also loves, like in Latin America, when you're texting, it's very common to put like hearts and emojis like that.
Emojis and expressions.
They will do that.
Okay.
That was really big in Argentina and Latin America, maybe in general for some places. I don't know all, but a very open and warm emoji language.
Yeah.
Although they are more direct when they argue, they also have more flowery Baroque emoji lexicon dialect.
Yeah.
And I think especially when I'm talking to my Latin American friends on like WhatsApp, I tend to do a lot more emojis when I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that's affected how I express my emotions through emojis, which is a great answer, I think.
So thank you so much for your time. And also we've learned a lot about the differences between Argentina and also US culture. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you.